Thank you. Hi, I'm Bryan. This is a 5-minute talk, so I'm going to give you the short version of my background. I have a wife, 2.5 kids, a dog. I live down south in Pawtucket, and I played Ultimate Frisbee for the better part of 30 years now. Just if you want to come up to me after in the coffee break or something like that, give you a few ideas of things to ask me about. I self-identify as a Python dev, although I work at a startup with 3 engineers, including myself, so really it's a little bit of everything at this point. And speaking of that startup, their name is Hunted Labs. We do software supply chain security analysis, basically who's developing your open source software, what are they getting paid, are they getting paid, going back to the talk earlier, and what can you do to make it better. I'm not going to talk about that here, though. I'm going to talk about 3 weird tricks to make Docker. I couldn't fit Docker buildx in my title there, so I put it at the bottom. To make Docker go boom. And the first thing is use your CI caching. The second thing is the order in your Docker file matters. And the third thing is cache your dependencies. So I have a gist here, which I'm going to switch over to, which is public. And hopefully we'll be able to see it well enough. There we go. Perfect. So in CI, the first tip there, in CI, caching your build layers. So when you build a Docker image, right, every statement in the Docker file is a layer, more or less. I'm going to skim over the details here. Docker build caches those things. It says, hey, I think I can probably reuse this at some point. And usually it can, like that very first layer, your base image, right? Most likely that's not going to change, especially if you pin to a SHA. So Docker can reuse that. If you happen to be using GitHub Actions and you use the official Docker build action here, these 2 lines at the very bottom of the file will cache your Docker build cache to the GitHub Actions cache, which means that you get super fast build times just by adding these two little lines to the bottom of your file. And so if I go over to my slides back over here, you can maybe read that in the back. Anyway, before it was 44 seconds, now it's 22 seconds, kind of consecutive builds. So like 50%, cut in time there. That's a big difference. Obviously, this is a pretty small image, so that's not going to necessarily scale to everything. But there's that. The second tip here is that the order of the statements in your Docker file matters. And so I have one in Golang and one in Python. I'm more familiar with Python, so I'll just do this one. Put the ones that are least likely to change at the top. Base image, obviously you start with that. System dependencies go at the top. Those are least likely to change. Docker's going to cache that, be able to reuse it, right? That's going to make it go a lot faster. Next thing, your own dependencies. Almost certainly your package manager has a way to install just the dependencies for your project without actually installing your source code in the same step. Last step, copy and install your source code, right? That's the one that's going to change the most. That's the one that's going to bust the cache. You want to do that one last because the Docker build cache depends on every layer that happens before it. Okay, the third tip, well, actually, while I'm still in here, you can use cache mounts to cache dependencies. So let's say I have this Python project and I start out with FastAPI as my only dependency. I just stand up FastAPI, start it running, and wonderful. Now I want to actually add some functionality to my app. So I also install Pydantic. What the build cache, or sorry, what the cache mount will do is it will restore the pip cache, UV cache, gomod cache, whatever it is, to the same spot in the Docker build process so that your tool finds that cache and reuses that already downloaded dependency. So not only does that save you time, it also saves bandwidth and load on those package manager servers. And I don't know, so I think I heard that PyPI, the Python package index, spends the equivalent of like a couple $100,000 on bandwidth every month, something like that. It's all donated by Fastly. So fortunately, no one actually has to pay for that out of their pocket, but if they did, that'd be really bad. Okay, so those are my 3 weird tricks. I hope you find them helpful. I hope you find them useful. Again, my name is Bryan. There's my email. My work email, and I'd love to chat out in the hall. I have about 8 stickers to give away if you want a sticker, and I have a hat that says Hunted Labs on it, so you can find me. Thanks, everyone.